What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Apex Wiffle YouTube channel. We are fresh into the off season, and we already have some transactions going on, some new teams, some disbanding of teams, and then some current teams adding some bits and pieces to their rosters. So let's get into it. All right, so just as a little review, I put the standings up on the board to show you which teams were still in it after last season, and a little bit of a recap of last season. So last season, we had 5 teams stick around to the very end. We used Pine Tar, who at the end of the day finished 9-1, the Gentlemen, who finished 8-3, the 919 Punishers, who finished 5-6, the Mom Lovers, who finished 1-8, and the Barnyard, who finished 0-5. So this was the exact postseason standings order, but all these records are after postseason. So basically what happened was the Mom Lovers beat the Barnyard in a 1-game wild card to then play We Use Pine Tar in the semifinals, and We Use Pine Tar wound up sweeping them actually to advance to the championship. The 919 Punishers played the Gentlemen in a best 2 out of 3 semifinal. Winner was going to play We Use Pine Tar, and it was the Gentlemen that took it after 3 games. 919 Punishers put up a fight, but they were unable to take it. So these were the 5 teams going into the offseason. The first thing, which is a little minor, the Mom Lovers are renaming their team to the 12-6 Mafia. First of all, personally, I love the name, but honestly, I look forward to keeping in touch with these guys, and I feel like they do have a lot of potential. So the first big move I want to address is the Barnyard have decided to disband. Not a bad decision at all for this team and for this roster. The Barnyard won a combined 0-5. They were the last seeded team and lost 5-0 in the wild card to the Mom Lovers to end their season. But it's, in my opinion, their losses were very different than everyone else's losses. When other teams lost, it wasn't as bad. But when they lost, it was always bad. In 5 games, they got outscored 51-6. They got no hit twice. They got shut out 4 times. And the only time they got any runs was against a team's struggling number 2 pitcher, the 919 Punishers. They didn't really have a developed number 2 pitcher at the time. And they lost that game 26-6. All 6 of their runs came in 1 game. But that was also a game they gave up 26. I mean, after playing a tight 1-0 game on their opening day, I even thought, look, this team has some potential. They just need to get the bats going. But then after that, everything just fell apart. 26-6, a 9-0 game to the Gentlemen, a 10-0 game to the Gentlemen, and then 5-0 to the Mom Lovers in the playoff game. Although Josiah Rusher actually is interested in coming back to the league, I definitely would say his pitching was way better than his hitting. His hitting, he had 1 RBI, went 3 for 14, and didn't draw any walks. His pitching, he had 4 pitching appearances, including 3 starts, went 0-3. He pitched 5 2/3 innings because of mercy rule and whatnot, and gave up 8 earned runs, which in the Apex Wiffle Ball League, it is a 4.24 ERA. And in my opinion, with Apex Wiffle, if you have anything higher than a 2.5, that is absolutely horrendous. So, but I do see potential in him. He did get 17 outs after all, and 10 of them were strikeouts. I definitely believe that that Josiah can be another team's number 2 pitcher. Other guys who had potential, Mitchell Long, he got on base constantly, drew a few walks, only played in 3 games, and actually pitched in all 3 of them and made made a start. He pitched 1 1/3 inning of work, gave up 9 earned runs, and had a 20.25 ERA. So maybe pitching's not his best suit, but he definitely has some potential up at the plate. Austin Zuge, actually, he had 1 hit, but it was the only home run of the Barnyards franchise. So this team disbanded, but a few of them do want to come back as free agents. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these guys' Apex Wiffle careers end up. Another announcement we have to make is the league will be getting 2 more teams in the league confirmed. And these 2 teams are actually a part of our 2021 Summer League. They weren't in the Winter or the 2022 Summer League, but they were in our 2021 Summer League. Let's start off with JSU. JSU was led and captained by Brady Byler, who is a very talented wiffle ball player, was on the 2021 All-Star team. Great two-way player of a hitter and a pitcher, especially his craft on the mound. He's a very crafty pitcher as well, mixes up his arsenal with a riser, slider, and a rising screwball as well. His team, at the time, we were very lenient on the rules, so there was a lot of people playing on 2 different teams and stuff, and guests playing. But JSU actually started off the season 0-2, and they finished their season 6-3. And the one other loss was to our number 1 ranked Stud Muffins team, and they played the closest game they could have against them. It was a 1-0 ball game. But their lineup is going to consist of Brady Byler, Tate Tomlinson, who actually was on the mound for one of the playoff games. So they played my team in the playoffs and beat us. And Tate was actually on the mound. Brady trusted his number 2 to pitch against the Hot Dogs. But then what was funny was one of the teams that they lost to in the regular season, they were called Team Steve, who got the number 3 seed. JSU upset them in the second round of the playoffs and went to the semifinals. However, they forfeited the semifinals and were playing the semis and the championship in the same day. So JSU's run was over. So overall, 6-3. And it was mainly led by Brady and Tate. Tate, another really good hitter, hit a home run in the playoff game. Really good pitcher as well. Some side pieces to add: Will Bumgarner, Connor Clausen, and Liam Woods are going to be on JSU as well. But the main piece that Brady Byler brought, especially now being familiar to the number 2 pitcher rule, is former member of the Tsunamis, Winter League Silver Slugger, and Winter League Rookie of the Year, Dominic Masters. Dom Masters was an absolute stud in the Winter League. Led the league in home runs, had a bunch of RBIs, and was really good on the mound, threw a lot of strikeouts. He pitched very tight games. Just didn't really grab a lot of wins on the mound, which not all that was his fault. But I'm very excited to see a 1-2 punch of Brady and Dom, throw in some Tate Tomlinson, and then Will Bumgarner has a lot of potential as well. So we're very excited to see JSU back in the league. All right, and the second team that was coming back is known as Purple Rain. We're going to go over the roster real quick, recap their 2021 season, and then basically give a little recap. So their team roster consists of their captain, Maddox Romans, 2 2021 All-Stars, Matt Duncan and Harrison Stauffer, former Cyclone Chris Angelillo, as well as Nathan Scudder, Alex Miller, and Lawson Keegi. Now, their 2021 season, they went 0-6, and here's why I feel they went 0-6. Now, their first game actually was a pretty close game. It was against the Brothers, who we have mentioned many times. They lost in a very tight game, lost by 2 runs, and honestly saw potential after that. But the thing is, in a non-wiffle ball related activity, Maddox Romans tore his MCL, taking him out for the rest of the 2021 season. And it was very hard for the team to stay motivated without their captain showing up. So they then proceeded to lose games 9-0, 12-1, 17-0, where one guy showed up. And then another game where one guy showed up, 15-5. The playoff game was actually pretty tight. 12-4 was the final, but the reason why it was tight is because it was 4-4 going into extras, and then they actually played the Mom Lovers, and then they just broke it open in extras. And this was actually the first ever extra inning game in Apex Wiffle Ball history. It came in the playoffs. But let's just talk about some of the players, because I know it sounds bad, but it really isn't as bad as it sounds. Now, Maddox Romans is a very talented hitter. He actually, in his one game, had 2 home runs, one from each side of the plate, one lefty and one righty. So I feel like he's going to have a very nice bat. Matt Duncan and Harrison Stauffer kind of pursued careers on JSU. Harrison Stauffer actually had a walk-off home run against the Brothers for JSU, and Matt Duncan actually hit 2 home runs off of me in our playoff game in 2021. And that, I think, just those 3 alone are going to be good, let alone Chris Angelillo, who hit a home run in the Purple Rain playoff game, actually. And we saw he had potential with the bat. He had a hit off of the zoo in the Winter League opening day video. And then they're accompanied by 3 other guys who haven't played all that much. They played a couple games here and there, but they all have some pretty good potential. Purple Rain looks to get some scrimmages in, as well as JSU. But honestly, I feel like with Purple Rain, they have the bats between Matt, Harrison, Maddox, Chris, and even Nathan and Alex can hit the ball a little bit whenever they play. But in my opinion, the main thing that Purple Rain needs to find is a very good pitcher. They got outscored in 6 games. They gave up 72 runs, which that 72 runs is the 6th most in Apex Wiffle Ball history, and every other team that gave up more runs played way more games than Purple Rain. So if they can find themselves at least a good number 1 pitcher, and who knows what will happen, especially since we do have the number 2 pitcher rule in effect. But I like having these guys around, and it's going to be fun having them back in the league. Okay, and the final team we are going to talk about was that 3rd-seeded 919 Punishers team. Honestly, this team has so much potential, and they really want to reach that potential. So they kind of had that mentality of don't expect different results with the same pieces. So they made 3 big transactions, especially after the disappointing end of last season, facing the Gentlemen 5 times and only winning 1 time in a clutch game 2. But other than that, I mean, they got outscored 12-6 by the Gentlemen. And they started off 4-2, and at the end of the season, they went 1-4. So it was pretty upsetting with overall 5-6, but they want to do some stuff to change that. So the first move the 919 Punishers decided to make was signing a true rookie Cam Cornthwaite. Brings great athleticism, including some speed. He has MLB genes in the family as well, and overall great team chemistry with the rest of the guys, hoping that the 919 Punishers can produce another Rookie of the Year. Second signing they decided to make was adding a guy with some league experience starting back from 2021, and that is former member of the Cyclones, former member of the Hot Dogs, Will McFadden. Will has some great team chemistry, especially with AP. They were in that rough time with a 3-11 record, but Will brings some pretty nice presence with the bat, and he is an amazing fielder. A little fun fact not a lot of people know is that Will was actually the runner-up in the Gold Glove voting for 2021. He also in 2021 provided a great bat, hitting, I believe, 5 home runs, and plus the only run even in the Hot Dogs postseason game. So I personally am very excited to have him back on my wiffle ball team, and great for team morale. He's just an overall great teammate, and he blends well with this team, and I'm excited to have him around. And then the last but certainly not least of the transactions was the 919 Punisher signing Blake Oliver. Blake Oliver brings something to the 919 Punishers that they were lacking last season, and that was a second arm. After AP, there wasn't really anything else. But the thing is, that made the two teams, we used Pintar and the Gentleman, what made them successful and the reason why they went to the championship is because of their pitching depth. I mean, the Gentleman had John and Owen, and we used Pintar had Ryan and Shane. So the 919 Punishers looked to add on that pitching depth with Blake. He had a 5-1 record through 6 pitching appearances. All 6 of them were starts, and through 18 2/3 innings, and gave up 22 earned runs and pitched 35 strikeouts. Lots of balls will be put in play, but especially with some better fielding, that will definitely help out. So I'm very excited to see what Blake brings to the team from a pitching stance. He also will bring a great presence at the plate. He may not get the most hits. He only went 5 for 20 in the Winter League through 7 games. But he drew 14 walks. He drove in 11 RBIs. And he had a 559 OBP, which is top 5 in the league. So if the 919 Punishers also can just get guys to get on base, which then will create runs, that will help them win ball games, especially with Blake and AP on the mound. And especially with these free agent signings, and especially with what they already have, the 919 Punishers are looking like real championship contenders. Alrighty, guys, and with that being said, that'll be all for the transactions video. Stay tuned. We do have some scrimmages coming up to upload to the YouTube channel and many more content before we get rolling into our regular season next spring. This is AP signing off.